Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ikra Shahi Mohammed. My roll number is EP1770061. The topic of my presentation is post-traumatic stress disorder and acute stress disorders. Introduction. Post-traumatic stress disorder, that is PTSD, and acute stress disorder occur in people who have experienced a severely distressing traumatic event. These are characterized by intrusive re-experiencing, avoidance features, emotional numbing, and symptoms of autonomic hyperarousal. Diagnostic criteria according to DSM, that is Drug Statistic Manual, PTSD is classified as either an acute or delayed. Acute means PTSD. Acute PTSD means in which the symptoms present for less than 3 months, or delayed PTSD means in which the symptoms present for greater than 3 months. For PTSD, it is necessary that the symptoms must be present for at least 1 month. Acute stress disorder is different from PTSD. According to DSM, it refers to cases in which the symptoms last less than 1 month, that is at least 2 days. The symptoms of acute stress disorder is similar to PTSD, except that there is an additional requirement of post-traumatic dissociative symptoms. That means the symptoms occurring at the time of trauma. Epidemiology and clinical course. PTSD is more common in women than in men. The percentage of PTSD in women is 13% and for male it is 6%. Most people don't develop PTSD after exposing to traumatic event. Approximately 90% of individuals experience a normal acute stress response to trauma. PTSD causes significant functional disability. The cause of PTSD is highly variable. Most patients who meet criteria for PTSD 1 month after trauma show spontaneous recovery within 6 to 9 months. Some sufferers experience a lifelong course of illness. The overall median duration of PTSD is reported to be approximately 2 years, but has been found to be 4 times longer in women, 4 years than in men, that is 1 year. Etiology and pathophysiology. The effects of stress on the brain or psychological trauma can cause persistent changes in various aspects of brain functioning and in neurobiological responses to stress. Alteration of norepinephrine 5-HT-glutaminergic GABA system, neuroendocrine substance P and opioid system functioning has been found in PTSD. Stress-induced hyperactivity of central noradrenergic system is believed to lead to the general anxiety and autonomic hyperarousal associated with PTSD. Reduction in hippocampal volumes also found in PTSD. Functional neuroimaging studies in PTSD have found excessive activation of amygdala. Thus, the neurobiological consequences of stress and trauma result in both structural and functional changes in brain. Genetic factors may also play a role in influencing vulnerability to the damaging effects of stress. Treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. Both medications and cognitive behavioral therapies are useful in treating PTSD. CBT is a psychological treatment that is used to improve mental health. Non-pharmacologic therapies alone may be appropriate for initial treatment of mild PTSD case, but for severe or moderate cases, pharmacotherapy either alone or in combination with psychological therapy is usually recommended. While assessing various treatments, it is necessary to consider effects on all 3 core symptoms clusters: re-experiencing, intrusive symptoms, avoidance, emotional numbing, hyperarousal symptoms. The preferred first-line medication in PTSD are the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, but various other antidepressants may also be useful. Response to pharmacotherapy occurs very gradually over 8 to 12 weeks or longer. Partial response at 12 weeks of treatment may be followed by full remission after several more months of therapy. Therefore, an adequate time period should be allowed to fully determine response to a particular medication. Early treatment during the first 3 months that follow a trauma may prevent the development of chronic PTSD. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, that is SSRIs, sertraline and paroxetine are the currently available FDA-approved medications for treating PTSD. They are very effective in reducing all 3 PTSD symptoms cluster. They also have beneficial effects on depression and general anxiety symptoms. Fluoxetine also appeared to be effective in treating PTSD in some patients. citalopram, fluvoxamine, and the SNRI, serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, venlafaxine, have shown efficacy in the treatment of PTSD. Other antidepressants, nefazodone, mirtazapine, and bupropion, are also effective in the treatment of core symptoms of PTSD. The tricyclic antidepressants, amitriptyline and imipramine, and the monoamine oxidase inhibitors, phenelzine, have also been found to be effective in the treatment of PTSD, but these agents are generally not recommended because of their poor tolerability and safety profiles. Miscellaneous agents: the anticonvulsants carbamazepine, valproate, topiramate, tiagabine, gabapentin, and lamotrigine have been markedly effective in certain patients and can be particularly useful for reducing irritability, impulsivity, and angry or violent outbursts. Atypical antipsychotics have been used effectively to treat PTSD-related psychotic symptoms. Examples of atypical antipsychotics are risperidone, clozapine, olanzapine, etc., used to treat sleep disturbances, but they don't appear to be useful for treating core symptoms of PTSD. The alpha-1 adrenergic antagonist prazosin and the alpha-2 adrenergic agonist clonidine were reported to decrease nightmares and other core symptoms in patients. Benzodiazepines are generally ineffective, but they may be useful in managing sleep disturbances during the early weeks of trauma. Non-pharmacologic treatments: various types of psychological therapies have been used in the treatment of PTSD. Cognitive therapies seem to be most effective for symptoms of demoralization, guilt, and shame, whereas exposure therapies are better for reducing intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, and avoidance behaviors. Both cognitive and exposure therapies have been shown to be markedly and comparatively effective in controlled PTSD trials, but exposure is probably more critical for optimal results. Course and duration of action: good treatment response in PTSD is more likely to occur when the treatment is begun within 3 months of the trauma. There is no well-established definition of response in PTSD, but a decrease in symptoms by 30 to 50%, along with substantial functional improvement. Full recovery during treatment of PTSD is fairly uncommon. When an initial SSRI trial is ineffective, the patient may be switched to another SSRI or one of the other antidepressants that have been effectively used in PTSD. Partial responders may be benefit from the addition of second medication depending on which core symptoms predominate. For patients who respond, treatment should be continued for an additional 6 to 12 months for acute cases and 12 to 24 months for chronic cases. Long-term SSRI treatment can prevent relapse of PTSD, especially in those who show response during the first 3 months of therapy. When pharmacotherapy is discontinued, it should be withdrawn gradually over the period of 1 to 3 months. Now, case study. Didi is a 42-year-old woman who was attacked and raped in the driveway of her home as she was getting out of her car 1 month ago. She didn't seek medical treatment at the time and waited several days before reporting the incident to anyone, including her family. She presents to her physician complaining that she can't sleep and that she is irritable, anxious, and depressed. When asked about any recent stressors in her life, she finally tells her doctor about the rape. Didi has no history of psychiatric illness, admits that her symptoms have appeared silent since the attack, and says that she has never had any psychiatric problems until now. She states that she has nightly nightmares and becomes extremely anxious every time she comes home and gets out of her car at night, when she avoids doing which she avoids doing being possible. She is startled when the phone rings or when someone approaches her unexpectedly, and she literally freezes if she sees a man who bears any physical resemblance to her attacker. Didi also states that memories of the rape often flash through her mind for no reason, although she tries hard not to think about it. The assailant has not been caught, and Didi feels extremely guilt for not promptly reporting the crime. Her symptoms are interfering significantly with her ability to work at her job and have put a strain on her marriage. With what clinical features of PTSD does Didi display? Interpretation: as Didi, a 42-year-old woman who was attacked and raped 1 month ago, complaining that she can't sleep and that she is irritable, anxious, and depressed. Person with PTSD often present with non-specific complaints indicative of a generalized anxiety, depression, or substance use disorder. may not realize or want to reveal an association between their symptoms and the trauma they have experienced. So careful evaluation by the clinician is required. DD displays many target symptoms of PD, including re-experiencing nightmares, recurrent memories, avoidance of the activity that reminds her of the trauma, and symptoms of increased arousal. The lack of any previous psychiatric illness combined with the temporal relationship between the attack and her symptoms support the presence of PTSD as opposed to another anxiety or depressive disorder. The condition of the DD is classified as acute onset of PTSD because her trauma occurred 1 month ago. Treatment selection and dosing. According to DD conditions, she is exhibiting moderate to severe PTSD symptoms, so pharmacotherapy is indicated. Medications treatment can also be combined with CBTs if they are available. So first line of treatment in this is sertraline. Low initial SSRI doses are recommended in PTSD. So sertraline can be started at 25 mg per day and gradually increased to the target dose range of 100 to 150 mg per day. Regarding other SSRIs, paroxetine dose of 20 to 40 mg per day is sufficient for most PTSD patients because higher doses have not been associated with better response. Low dose adjunctive trazodone 25 to 50 mg at bedtime would be a good choice in this case because it is safe, effective, and an inexpensive sedative agent. The patient should be encouraged to talk with family and friends about the trauma because repeated retelling of the traumatic event is therapeutic and can help facilitate recovery. Others need to understand the importance of listening and of being tolerant of the patient's emotional reaction and persistent preoccupation with his or her experience. Peer support can be very beneficial in the recovery of trauma victims. Patients should be advised to try not to avoid things that remind them of the trauma, but rather to expose themselves to these situations as often as possible. Clinical assessment and goals of therapy. The first goal of treatment of PTSD is to reduce the core symptoms. In DD's case, these target symptoms include nightmares, intrusive memories, avoidance behaviors, irritability, startling easily, and sleep difficulties. Secondary goals in this case include improving DD's stress resilience, decreasing her work and marriage-related disability, and improving her overall quality of life. Other general treatment goals in PTSD include decreasing temperamental behaviors such as use of alcohol or substances, risky activities, violence, etc., and treating any comorbid psychiatric conditions that may be present. Several different treating skills have been developed to assess response to treatment in PTSD. The most commonly used clinician-rated scales are the clinician-administered PTSD scale (CAPS) and the treatment outcome PTSD scale (TOPS-8). CAPS is most often used in clinical PTSD trials, whereas TOPS-8 is shorter and easier to use in clinical practice. Patient-rated scales for evaluating PTSD symptoms include the Davidson Trauma Scale and the Impacts of Events Scale. The Sheehan Disability Scale is often used to assess functional impairment due to PTSD. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.